One of the questions I get asked the most is, how do you get anything done with children? A lot of it is a change in the angle that you're looking at my content. So yes, you see a video of me spinning with a baby on my lap, but it's not that the baby is interrupting my spinning, it's that my spinning is happening while I'm taking care of the baby. So I am a stay-at-home mom. My husband works on his own business out of the home very hard to provide for us so that I can stay home with them full time. So the farm right now, while it's technically a business, is not supporting us. So the animals and the fiber are something that I do in my free time or something that I fit in around my day with my daughters. So I have 2 daughters under the age of 2, so most of my day is spent taking care of them and playing with them and spending time with them in various ways. So if it's the afternoon and everyone's going to be awake for a few hours and they need something entertaining to do, sitting down at my spinning wheel is something that they find really interesting. So I'm not going to put them down or put them in a crib or basically do away with them because I'm trying to do my hobbies. It's something that I want to include them in. So for example, I posted a video recently of me spinning with my 6-month-old sitting on my lap, and it got a lot of interesting comments about like, why don't you maybe put the baby down, or if you put mittens on the baby, she can't grab the yarn and things like that. And that is perfectly valid that I would be able to spin better and faster if there was not a baby sitting on my lap, but that's not exactly the point. The point was my daughter is awake and she is developing and I want her to grow and explore. And one of the things that she was doing was playing with my yarn while I was spinning it. And I'm not going to prevent her from doing that for a couple reasons. One of which is hopefully someday she wants to spin yarn herself. And so I am giving her very tiny amounts of exposure. Right now, all she can do at 6-month-old is grab the yarn. The other thing is, even if she doesn't necessarily do spinning, I still want her to be an adult with good skills. And one of the things that I'm doing to promote that is by giving her lots of exposure to things in the world. So letting her have that tactile feel of holding the yarn and grabbing at it is something that I see as really good for her. So even though it's an inconvenience to me for her to be grabbing at my yarn, it is a benefit to her that I would not want to prevent. And so yes, I do get interrupted quite often, but my options right now are either learn how to do my hobbies with my babies or to not really do them much at all. So including them is something I learned to do. And I've also been spinning and knitting and crocheting for 10 to 20 years. So these aren't new skills. And so doing something like spinning with a baby on my lap is not as tricky as if I had just learned a year ago. So also think of it in that sense that I didn't just decide to learn how to spin and try to do it with a baby on my lap. It's been more of a gradual process. So because I'm so familiar with certain skills, it's much easier to do while I'm holding a baby than it would be if I just tried to do it. And sometimes, especially things like shearing the sheep gets outsourced now, so I don't shear my own sheep because it's easier to find someone to come shear my sheep than it is to find someone to take care of my children. So some things like that get outsourced, and some things that I need to do myself. If I really need to get something done and I can't do it with the children, I'll either wait for my husband to be able to help me, or I sometimes have my mom help me with things, so she'll come over and spend some time with the babies and allow me to do something as well. I've also gone through seasons where I had someone helping me with fiber processing, and so I'll do varying things to make sure that the work still gets done, even if I myself am not able to put a lot of time into it at the moment. And often when you see things like those spinning videos or doing other things with children, it may only last a few minutes. So it's not that I'm sitting down and being able to spin for hours a day anymore. I used to sit down and spin for hours at a time, but now sometimes it may only last 5 or 10 minutes. And sometimes that's really good. And I got to spend 10 minutes spinning. And Actually, when you start doing it in small increments, it does add up. So I miss being able to do fiber arts for hours and hours on end and spend lots of time with the animals, but I still get to do it, and I enjoy being able to spend whatever time I can and adapt to how I can do it now. And there will come a time when my daughters are a little bit older and they don't need to be held all the time anymore, and I will have more time to do things again. Now, the nitty-gritty of how I actually get things done when the babies are around is, one, with the animals. If I don't want to take them out with me, which taking out two babies out with the animals, I do it occasionally, but it's pretty tricky. So I usually try to take animal care either when my husband is around or when they are sleeping. Usually there's a few hours in the morning where they're both asleep at the same time, or only one of them is awake, so it's a little bit easier to go out and care for them. The way that I get a lot of the indoor spinning crafts done is I baby wear, so I have a lot of different carriers and I really love learning how to use them. So the baby gets held, which is what the baby wants, and I get to work on a hobby. So again, it's working in tandem with the children. I'm really not trying to get rid of them so I can do my hobby. That just seems really counterproductive for my main goal with staying home with them. But I do enjoy still doing my hobbies. And occasionally, sometimes they are napping at the same time, and then I might have a little time to knit or do something on my own. And right now, especially when my youngest is quite young, she's only 6 months, so there are a lot of things that I'm just not doing right now. And I might go through seasons of I'm just not in a good position to do dyeing, for example, because that's something I need to do when the girls are out of the way. Or I'm not washing a lot of fleeces right now because it's winter and I don't want to take them out in the cold a bunch. Some things, if it's safe, I allow them to do it with me. So spinning, for example, my toddler knows that we do not touch the wheel when it is moving. And this is a rule that I hold because I'm not going to touch the wheel when it's moving. It's dangerous to touch the wheel. So she knows wheels we do not touch when they are moving. However, I don't want to necessarily tell her you can't touch the yarn because, again, I want to instill little bits of those skills so that she can then learn to spin. And things like I keep a spinning wheel in my living room, and she's been spinning in my lap since she was a newborn. So the spinning wheel is not some forbidden object that she suddenly sees and wants to go and grab. It's something that's been around her entire life. So it's not a new object. It's something that she's seen, and she knows which parts of it she's allowed to touch and what she's not allowed to touch. So it's not like I have a 2-year-old loose with a spinning wheel all of a sudden and she is just going to go grab it and turn the wheel and that kind of thing. So yes, I've had to tell her no and pull her away from it plenty of times when she was younger, but now she's older and she knows what she's allowed to touch and what she isn't. Now, things like the picker that are very dangerous objects, she's never allowed to be around those unsupervised. And if I am using them while she's present, then she's going to be out of the way, either with a physical barrier or in a carrier, somewhere where she cannot physically reach that. Because even though I'm telling her not to touch it, she's not old enough to be 100% trusted around something that could genuinely hurt her. So all of my fiber equipment that is dangerous in any way to the babies while it's just still and not moving is kept behind closed doors. So we make sure that they're safe, but also make sure that they have the appropriate exposure such that when they are around something, then they can also keep themselves a little bit safe. So some days I don't really get anything fiber done, honestly. Some days I might get a lot. Right now, with 2 being so young, it's usually on the lower side. Sometimes I'll be very overachiever and try to get like an hour of spinning done a day, which is about as much as I can realistically do. It's tricky and I love it, and it's something that I love doing and love sharing with people. It would be misplaced for me to not want to share it with my daughters. Even though they're so young, they can still enjoy it in the capacity that they're able to.